What's good, everybody? And we are done. So I've done a few things since my last video. Apologize, it's been a few days. After I got the rear shock back in, I spent a day or so kind of tweaking the suspension and kind of getting it dialed in how I like it. And I also went ahead and did the 1000 RR modification to the mirrors. So I added mirrors from a 2012 1000 RR. So they have the blinkers in the mirrors. I think these are a much better mirror setup as compared to the original ones that have the expansion bushing in here that always fucking comes loose and your mirrors are just friggin' flopping around. I had an 04 1000 RR and I had a 07 1000 RR and they had those same mirrors on them, and that was a constant issue. You're constantly tightening down that expansion nut inside there to keep your mirrors tight, or if you adjust them and it loosens it up. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I went ahead and modded it. I added the mirrors to it. If it's something that you're interested in, just comment in this video and I can tell you how to do it. It's actually pretty simple. You do have to make some modifications to the threaded inserts, and you do have to make a modification to the headlight housing. So you can see here the headlight housing. I had to kind of shave off some of it so I could get a washer in there to hold on that nut. But yeah, anyways, she's mostly done. I think I am gonna go ahead and order a new set of fairings. The clips that hold the fairings here, they're both broke, unfortunately. So I got zip ties on there, whatever, it's fine for now. I don't really mind that too much. But I would like it to look really good, I mean, it looks a million times better than it did when I first picked it up. So just a few little things that me personally, I would like to change. I do have something else cool that's coming. So I did this rear reservoir delete kit, right, for the rear brake. And shortly after, I believe it's either Sato, I think it's Sato that makes it. It's a bolt-on. So it bolts onto the master cylinder, and it's a reservoir. It's an billet aluminum reservoir that sits just higher than the banjo here. So I think I'm gonna order that just so I don't have this tube hanging. And it's literally it's about the same size as the master, but it sits just a little bit higher. So I went to order it, but it was out of stock and on back order. So I'm gonna see if it's available to order here again pretty soon. Yeah, so everything turned out pretty good, I think. The bike, it rides really, really good. Like I said, I haven't been on a 600 and it's probably been close to 20 years. So just, it's a totally different riding style than what I'm used to. I'm used to having kind of the grunt power and torque of a 1000, and having a slipper clutch. So it's been a few years since I've not been riding on a slipper clutch, and having some of that freedom when you're downshifting from a higher RPM is pretty nice. So coming back to a bike that doesn't have a slipper clutch in it, it took me a second to kind of get used to that again, but a few rides on it and it's fine. The one thing I do notice with this thing, being that it's down a tooth in the front sprocket, so it's a stock sprocket in the back, a 42, and a 15 tooth in the front. So that's an interesting gearing because first gear is pretty much irrelevant. Like you don't really, I barely even use it. And second through sixth, it's just weird. So second feels pretty short. Well, second and third both feel pretty short. And then, fourth, fifth, and sixth is pretty much where I live. I find that fifth gear for like canyon riding and like twisty roads, unless you're hitting like 20-mile-an-hour turns, 20-mile-an-hour turn, you're like on the street. I'm in second gear, but on the track, for something like that, I'd probably be third gear. But fourth and fifth gear is like, that's the spot, like with this gearing, which is kind of neat because usually in canyon riding on my 1000, I'm in like third gear, second and third gear. And this thing in fifth gear, and it just rolls on, and there's just power. And it's the power application in those gears is interesting because it's there, but it's almost like a perfect amount of power where you can just hammer on it right out of the turn. And you don't have to worry about losing the rear or getting too hard on it too soon, or it's strange. So it's just something I'm getting used to. And I kind of like it. So I can't wait to get this thing on the track. I wanted to be out there this weekend, but unfortunately it just didn't work out that way. So, August and September, I'm certainly going to get out there. So we'll get at least 2 track days on this thing. And, I need to go get an SD card for my GoPro. I might do that this weekend and then do a little honing around and get some GoPro video and maybe post some of that. But yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. I really dig the undertail. This plastic, or it's actually fiberglass that's painted. So this thing came with my exhaust. These blinkers did not. I added those blinkers, but it did come with a set of blinkers, which was cool. It came with the blinkers and the license plate mounting brackets and hardware. So not too many exhaust companies are going to give you the other equipment necessary to, like, this was a undertail exhaust delete, so they didn't have to do this, right? Because this is the exhaust, the side exit exhaust, right? So most places will give you this little plate, and that's it. That's all you get. Like, you get the exhaust and that plate. But these guys went the extra step, and they know that because this was an undertail bike from the factory, and it just kind of looks ugly under here when you take that off. And it just looks so clean when you put this on there. And the whole thing is to me, like, it's awesome. And the exhaust is fucking nasty, dude. It sounds great when it comes up to pipe. I wish I could really get the true sound of it on video. You know how video like kind of kills that sound a bit. But we'll see once we get on the road with it. Yeah, gosh, I'm just so ecstatic about this thing. It's so much fun. For a street bike, like, I feel like this is like a perfect street bike. Like, the power that's there is usable power on the street, right? Like, and because it's geared down a tooth in the front, I'm not hitting like 160 miles an hour. Like, so it takes a bit of the top end off and it applies that power to your mid-range, which is perfect for street riding. And the track that I go to, it can be ran in 2 configurations. The back straight can be super long, where that would come into effect. But they also run a chicane to kind of slow people down on the straight, which in this gearing setup is probably going to be perfect. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. Yeah, all in all, I'm just super happy with it. I've rode it now, I think 3 or 4 times, just kind of dialing in the suspension. I haven't really gotten hard on it yet, just because, unfamiliar with the bike as far as riding characteristics, and I was dialing in the suspension. But over the next few days, I'll kind of put her through her paces as best you can on the street. I mean, I'm not going to get crazy on the street. I just don't. I had an issue, or not an issue, an instance. It's probably been, when was this? It's probably been 10 or 11 years now. But we used to go out to this undisclosed place, and somewhere down in southern Mexico. And we would get pretty wild back there. And so we were back there one day, and it was a group of us, we were probably 15 or 20 deep. And we're just ripping through. It's a good, twisty, technical road. I come around a left-hand sweeper, come out of the sweeper and click into fifth and wide open. And Bambi decided to jump out in front of me, and I smashed Bambi wide open in fifth gear on an 07 1000RR. And destroyed the bike. Fortunately, I was in full leathers, and I got banged up a little bit, but I wasn't hospitalized or I wasn't seriously injured. But since that encounter, I've really changed how I ride on the street, and it's probably a good thing, because it's really not the place to be riding like that. And so that's what really pushed me into riding track. So enough of that. So yeah, she's all done. I'm happy with the outcome. In just a few days, we'll get some GoPro footage out on the street, and let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys following along, those of you that have, and look forward to some riding content here pretty soon. So thanks again, and we'll see you out there. Ride safe.